whatever happened and whatever nonsense you want to, or whatever you think about whatever NXT UK was, NXT was a good, safe place for people to work that got paid a weekly wage check, which they never normally got. They didn't get taken advantage of by promoters promising or holding certain things over them that promoters do. And there's people that will say, well, you killed British wrestling. Mate, I'm telling you, I went over there in 2016 for 2 weeks to check out the British wrestling scene. And I found that it wasn't what it was supposed to be.
Really?
Right? There was ICW was running a few shows a month. Progress was running 1 or 2 shows a month. Rev Pro was running 1 and sometimes 2 shows a month. There was lots of work on, but I ended up going to All-Star promotion shows just because I felt bad about not having enough shows to go to.
So promotionally, it wasn't where you thought it should be.
It was a myth that there was all this incredible stuff going on when really there was only there was companies running a couple of shows a month, but because they were on the internet, blowing their own horn and getting themselves put over in whatever form they could get put over, there was a booming wrestling scene. Whereas when I actually met Pete Dunne and talked to him, he was working at a little working men's club in England, because he was one of them that went out and got work off a small promotion. The truth of it is, Brian Dixon of All Star Promotions, which is the person I used to work for, was running more shows than anybody. Because he doesn't because he doesn't go on the internet and doesn't care about any of that, he was still the most successful, and it was the most successful promoter in British history. After obviously joined promotions in their time, when they were running TV.
Right.
From the late 80s, the mid 80s onwards, it was cobbled together and everybody blowing their own horn about what they were doing. Right? And I'm good friends with I know all the people from Progress and ICW. But, okay, you're selling out one show in Camden, 700 people or 800 people once a month. This isn't working when I used to work there, working 20 odd in the winter, working 20 odd shows a month. So all these people that buy into all this nonsense are buying into nonsense. There was PCW doing a couple of shows a month. There was companies doing a few shows a month, and it was looking like there was a lot of going on. And there was a lot going on for the wrestlers who were booked on all these shows. But for the majority of normal wrestlers, there weren't names or weren't, and there's fellas making a lot of money off merchandise, but it wasn't what it was cracked up to be. And if that offends, that there's going to be people going all up on the bandwagon about this. And then there's people that will say, well, you took all our stars. Well, that's the nature of the beast. You work to give people opportunities. And if WWE are going to go in, which they wanted to, and again, this was 10 years ago. This is not 2016 or 2015 when there was this, what they call Brit Rest thing going on. People were having to go from promoter to promoter, and the only reason a lot of them were making money was because they were having to flog merch. So they can all, if they want to come at me with all their nonsense, come at me. But I will make them look really silly really quickly. And the people who know that know better. So NXT UK, the tournament was, there we go. Okay. I wasn't thinking about breaking down, stopping British wrestling. I wanted it to be a positive thing because I thought if WWE have influence in there, and then there's first of all the talent that were already over there, which are all the talent that have gone through there or ended up in America at some point, and that's all companies. As long as they get an opportunity, because I know personally it's really hard to get to America. You need somebody to help you, right? So if they get the chance to come to America, good for them and make some real money, or get the chance to be on whatever. If it's NXT UK, great. But I also wanted a place where if you got injured, you would get paid and you would get medical treatment. A place where you could have the best trainers, because this might offend people. I don't care if it does. The people who come, whether there's going to be a group of people this next few weeks that may have that all have their own stories, but if they really look in the mirror, they had the best trainers that they could have, and they all got better by being in NXT UK. Unfortunately, it didn't become a full-time thing. We were on the verge of that and starting to do stuff, and then COVID hit. And then I have nothing to do with business side, so I don't know if it's worth for them. You got to WWE to keep things going.
Right, you're not seeing the finances.
I'm not seeing the finances. Right. I don't know what anybody was earning. I know some, and just so I say this, some people were there earning very good money for working very little dates. But then some people were there to earn a smaller amount of money, and this money gets thrown about what they were first offered for the tournament. But just keep your dates open for us. But that's a guaranteed check every week as long as you keep your dates open for us. But believe me, that money all went up. In some cases, incredibly well. Right? And you've got although it was only so many weeks a year, so many weeks a month, or every 2 months, you've got 2 weeks of training with people who actually really know how to do this. James Mason, Johnny Moss, Miko Satomura, Johnny Saint, me, Robbie Brookside, Dave Taylor.
Couldn't ask for more.
Right. And then you got these half-wits who think they know better because, you've taken our big indie stars away. Well, their big indie stars would have gone away anyway, or not, or they'd have burnt themselves out because you can only stay in one place for so long, right? So anybody wants to argue with me about this, make sure you've got your 100% facts about this, because you will end up looking like a complete and utter muppet, because I know. Right? It was a thing that started off and an idea 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago. And the ITV thing may have rushed it along, but we had the tournament, and anybody that was at that tournament knows what a special time that was. And anybody that did the other Blackpool shows knows what a special time that was. Anybody who did Cardiff knows what a special night that was. And some of the best wrestling that you will see happened on those shows. And I don't care who gets offended by this. I know what I'm looking at when it comes to quality wrestling. And some of the best wrestling happened on those shows. COVID, unfortunately, hit that place and hit it hard. And then coming out of it, there was a lot of changes in WWE last year, and they didn't care one way or the other. Well, there was people, believe me, there was people, me being one of them, and Sean and Michaels and people who have invested a lot of time into NXT. We wanted it, but we didn't know, right? And that's about as much as I can say on that. But we treasured that place. And believe me, whether they want to admit it or not, I know, because I'm the person who I ended up, I was a talent scout. Anybody that was anybody in that country was trying to get a job there because they knew that they could get a regular wage and not get taken advantage of. And if they got hurt, they'd get looked after.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I don't know, because I don't know anymore what's going on. But I do know that the European thing was in plans it's been planned for years to expand that. And so, unfortunately, there's people not going to have jobs at the moment, but it doesn't mean they can't come back. That's wrestling. And anybody who wants to, any of these, if anyone starts this is going to be one of those clickbait things where people are going to take bits of this and try and cause trouble. I want them to listen to this show, because if they want to start about what they can do, I can start. And if they want to get made look like total fools, some of these promoters, I can start if they want to. Everything was done with the right reasons for it. Funded by WWE. It wouldn't affect, it would have actually had a boom on everybody else. There was one thing that was a problem, and it wasn't a problem, it was just the way it was. Because of WWE being a big company, anybody who that was on a contract that wasn't exclusive to WWE was on a lesser contract that could work for independents. There was certain guidelines. And one of the guidelines, I'm going to say this out loud because this is what people don't get, and they are stupid, and they think that they know everything, and they gossip and they talk nonsense, and they live in this wrestling bubble, and they don't get it, or they don't understand that they're being manipulated by people or manipulated by promoters. Was that people on board, that people that NXT UK people work for, needed to have a life, a paramedic that could give out life-saving drugs. I'm asking you, Matt, do you think that is a bad thing?
That is definitely not a bad thing.
But unfortunately, in England, it costs a lot. It costs I think it's £400. Well, the buildings are small in England, so it's probably as much profit as you're going to make.
Yeah, that's not going to happen at a lot of the shows.
It's not going to happen. So a lot of the people who were getting less money, but none of them were getting these silly figures that I hear thrown about, they were all earning more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They weren't getting a lot of reps in but it's been COVID, or it's come out of COVID. Right? And if they want me to go off on this, I can do. Because believe me, I've got all the emails. And if they want to start, if any of these promoters over there want to start messing with me, I will make them look like total and utter idiots. They were trying to, as I call, carny around me. They must think that I wake up in the morning with idiot writ on my head somewhere that I can't see.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
No. Now that was an unfortunate thing. There was certain people, and I'm not going to mention, but certain companies we offered to work. We asked, "Do you want to work with us?" And they said no because we have a deal with such and such. Fair enough. But then other people only get half stories or their wrestling nonsense bubble version of it.